a long-running conspiracy theory is that the elites, as in the economic elites, have been planning to depopulate the planet because they want to control it or something like that. Now, this needs some further investigation and explaining, because when people jump to these conclusions, whether they're right or not, I'm not saying they're wrong yet, but whether they're right or wrong, they're missing a lot of thought processes and therefore details and possibilities. The first thing we have to do is look at the economic elite. Are they really, do they really want to do this? Well, you have to keep in mind that the economic elite are extremely rich beyond any of our comprehension. They're exponential. Their bank accounts are exponentially higher than ours, to amounts that we can't even imagine. Just incredible wealth. Most of these people are living lavish lifestyles, and they don't care one way or another about politics or anything like that. Now, having said that, there are those that want to keep their, that are very obsessed with keeping their power and stuff like that, and they actually do believe in these things. They do want to depopulate the planet and things like that. There's definitely those in the economic elite. But they should be separated from the other economic elite who are just living lavish lifestyles, or even, somewhat normal lives, as much as you could possibly do at that level of wealth. So there's no way the majority of the economic elite are for this type of thing, or even if they were for it, that there's no way that they're taking the time and energy to try to execute this plan. All right. Secondly, if they were to do this, they're way behind, because in the last 100 years, the population has breeded like rats and have used ridiculous amounts of resources. This includes both normal people and the economic elite. Just unbearable levels of consumption in the last 100 years. Total mismanagement. The next question we have to ask ourselves, well, does the world need to be depopulated? And the answer is yes, the world is definitely overpopulated. Okay, now should everyone be murdered or something like that? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the population and civilization itself should have been managed a lot better to begin with. That's what I'm saying. But that's pretty much my message for everything. Because everything is just so ridiculously mismanaged and there's so much levels of consumption. That's the conclusion I always have to come to. The next thing we have to think about is the economic elite have more access to information. They always had, especially in the old days, than the normal people, because they just have all that free time. They have all that money. They can go wherever they want. They can get all sorts of life experiences. They can have all sorts of time for research if they're interested in that. So they would have already known that civilization should have been managed better in the first place. At the latest, the mid to late 1800s, because that's when a lot of the thinkers were started to talk about overconsumption. So it shouldn't be anything new. So there's no reason that all of a sudden in the last 20, 30 years, they're like, oh my God, we got to depopulate. I'm not saying that there's not a group of people trying to do that. There probably is. But it's not even close to the majority of the economic elite are not trying to do that. But what I'm saying really is that if they were going to do something like this, they would have set civilization on a completely different path. If they were taking the smart option. There's nothing brilliant about it. It's like, okay, let's manage our resources and population properly to begin with. They had the knowledge, they had the means to do it in the past, so why didn't they? They just let it turn into a zoo like it is. And that's mind-boggling why they would let that happen. But then again, like I'm saying, most of them are living lavish lifestyles, so they might really not be concentrated on such goals. Now let's talk about the ones that are concentrated on such goals. The few minority of the economic elite that actually are trying to get this pushed through, or at least believe in it. Because that's where it gets interesting, if they can actually do that. Now, I'm sad to say that in order for not only for them to keep their power, but to stop the world from going into some crazy, turning into some kind of wasteland or something, barring some technological invention that saves us, or some other thing that's going to kill us before this all even matters, is they're way behind. They better get going. And for the people that don't believe in conspiracy theories, well, you got to get your head out of your ass, because conspiracy theories happen all the time. That doesn't mean every outlandish conspiracy theory is true. Conspiracy theories that end up being true range from things that are common sense, like, those kind of conspiracies are definitely true because that's human nature, to more outlandish things that, there's a lot of outlandish things that actually turn out to be true. But again, that doesn't mean everything you hear in the conspiracy world is true. Definitely not. There's so much disinformation and just lie and all sorts of other things that you have to sift through, just like with any other propaganda. So I hope that puts it in perspective for you. This is something I've been telling people about a lot in the last 10, 15 years. But people really don't want to think critically about this type of stuff. Or anything else for that matter.